Hello and welcome back to some more Vintage Cube. Hope y'all are having fun this season. And as promised, last video I asked y'all to comment about Missed Lethal that I had in my previous video and to see if you could find the correct line that could have won us the game a turn earlier. And so shout out to Nick Lapointe, goes by Necroid over there on Twitter, who had the correct answer. Nice eyes, Nick. Way to spot lethal. All right, jumping into this draft, the two picks I'm looking between is Bone Crusher Giant and Force of Negation, and those are really two different strategies. Obviously, Force going with controlling, and Bone Crusher Giant a little more aggro. Now, Bone Crusher offers a little bit of card advantage as you can cast it Stomp for an adventure and then cast the creature. So let's take Bone Crusher Giant and see what we get coming around. And then, second pack, Chandra versus Zealous. Two of my favorite red cards. We're gonna have to pick up the Chandra there. Maybe we'll get another red card to wheel Bone Crusher Giant into Chandra Torch of Defiance. Now this pack, the red cards are not cards that you want to pick this early in the draft, but there is a Tangle Wire. And Tangle Wire can be very strong with aggressive strategies as it just locks your opponent out while you continue to put on the pressure. All right, here for pick 4, there's a Halana and Elena, but let's just take the red card, the Burst Lightning. Our removal's looking pretty decent. Cut red to our left and see if we can move into this lane. Again, coming around, Grim Lavamancer is the only red card in the pack, and I don't really see any other cards to pull us in another direction right now. So hopefully we can commit pretty hard, cut red to our left, and get really rewarded here in pack 2. Again, no red cards here, but Smuggler's Copter is great. Fits well with the cards we have drafted. It's aggressive, helps with card selection, definitely making the deck. I'm experimenting with new card layout here in the draft, putting my cards in pick order for this first pack so you can see how the draft is shaping up. So pick 1 on the left and the latest pick all the way on the right. Let me know if you like that, if it helps out in the comments. Ooh, okay, so Wasteland versus Magda, but after picking up a Smuggler's Copter, Magda is just perfect. And then here we can pick up a Mishra's Factory. Yeah, the Magda Smuggler's Copter combo is pretty nice because Magda will generate those treasure tokens anytime she becomes tapped. Not really much for us in this pack. We could take a Manamorphose, which, should we want to splash, that could help out. And again, just a complete miss here. So red kind of drying up a little bit, but we're still pretty committed. There's a Steamkin. I really dislike this card. We'll take it, but I do think the card is too slow and not strong enough for the Vintage Cube. There's a Halana and Elena. Maybe we'll splash that. Hey, and a Copperline Gorge, that can help splash Halana and Elena as well. Okay, Oath of Druids, not for us, neither is Mirari's Wake, and we are rounding out pack 1. All right, pack 2. Fury, get in the deck, Fury. That card is great. Ooh, and here's the decision, Lelia versus Ragavan. Which one is better? I think both these cards are pretty even on power level. Ragavan just stealing things and ramping in the early game, and Lelia having inevitability. Either one of those picks would have been great. And now our choice is between Fable of the Mirror Breaker versus Skull Clamp for some card draw. Though coincidentally enough, Fable also offers card selection in its second mode of the saga. We're pretty light on creatures right now, and the ones we have, I don't really want to sacrifice the Skull Clamp. So let's pick up Fable for the card selection. And there's a Lightning Bolt, which we love to see. Dismember, Seasoned Pyromancer, and Burgi. We already do have a decent amount of removal, so I think the pick is Seasoned Pyromancer here, but Dismember also just so good. I think Season may have been a better pick there, seeing as we already have a Lightning Bolt, a Burst Lightning, and a Stomp in the Bone Crusher Giant, plus the Fury and the Chandra. Like, so many of our cards take care of creatures, so that was probably a mispick. And here we have the choice between Firebolt and Eidolon. Now, here I definitely think we need to take Eidolon. That way we can crew our Smuggler's Copter more reliably, and we just don't need another burn spell right now, I don't think. Ooh, and Seething Song can be nice. That type of mana ramp in a mono red deck is quite useful. So let's take that as a little bit of a hedge here. Goblin Guide for sure. And let's see what we can get on the wheel in this pack. Yeah, here's nothing for us. Well, there's Phyrexian Revoker. Phyrexian Revoker is a pretty good card as it turns off problematic planeswalkers or artifacts, or just, you know, cards with abilities. Wow, Lelia wheeling. What is this, pick 9? I can't believe that. That's just insane. Gladly make the deck there. And Skull Clamp wheeled. Interesting. All of these red, kind of mono red cards wheeling around for us. We'll take the Lodestone. There's consideration for the Obnixilis, but we don't have any black fixing right now. I don't think either of these cards will make the deck. Seasoned Pyromancer wheeled as well. Wow. We really got everything that we wanted out of that pack. So I can't believe those wheeled. Our cutting in pack 1 really helped shape this. All right, Shallow Grave to round out pack 2. All right, pack 3, Mizium Mortars and Avalanche Riders. There's also a Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal can be pretty decent in a mono red deck as it just ramps us out an additional turn as a one-time use mox. And I think we'll probably wheel the Avalanche Riders. And then here are choices between Koth and Glorybringer. I think Koth's also very good in a mono red deck. It's also a Chrome Mox, but I want to get some more playables. So I think it's between Chrome Mox should be good. We'll probably get Koth to wheel, I think. I mean, with a Lotus Petal and a Chrome Mox, we can really ramp out a card like Chandra. And here are the choices between Goblin Rabblemaster and Rishadan Port. Now we're starting to get a lot of colorless sources, but I think Rishadan Port can be pretty good at disrupting our opponent. Goblin Rabblemaster just usually underperforms in my opinion, which is why I don't run Goblin Rabblemaster in my own personal cube. Ooh, all right, here's Abbot versus Ancient Tomb. How much colorless ramp is too much in a red deck? We're about to find out. Yeah, not much here. I do not like Bomat Courier, so I guess the card is maybe Coercive Portal for card draw if we don't want to play Skull Clamp, since we do have so much colorless ramp, its potential. And then here's a choice between Hazoret and Incinerate, and let's just take Incinerate. I also am a little down on Hazoret. It's very hard to activate. And then nothing here for us. We'll take some Blackleaf Cliffs as fixing. We'll take a Young Pyromancer, though don't really want to start this in the starting 40. Our curve is pretty low right now. Here's an Avalanche Riders. We're very solid in our mono color right now, so I'm really not looking at any of these other cards, especially with all of our colorless lands. Any sort of splash would be very, very difficult. Hey, Koth did wheel, kind of as we expected. Glad to see that. Koth will definitely make the deck in a mono red deck. Yep, kind of a miss on all the cards here. So we'll throw a Lurrus in the sideboard. There's an Abbot. Also pretty low on Abbot, but Abbot does activate Smuggler's Copter. Not as good as Magda does, though. There's a Bomat Courier. We can take it, but it's not going to start. I really just don't like that card. All right, finishing out pack 3. Let's build this thing. All right, here's the deck. Pretty standard mono red deck. We have a lot of colorless ramp though, and I'm hoping that means that we can get some of our key 3 and 4 drops on the board quickly, maybe with something like a Tangle Wire to really slow our opponent down. And who knows what shenanigans Ragavan will be able to accomplish. So we're going to go straight to the feature match here, where you can see why it's very important to always play to your outs. So let's get to that match now. All right, match 1, feature match. We are on the play, and this seems like a sweet hand. We have some ramp when we have Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer. All right, I always try to dash Ragavan. It's always an internal struggle whether or not to cast or dash Ragavan, but we're going to cast him here and just hope our opponent has no answer. Opponent leads off on Swamp, and Ragavan survives. That's what I like to see. Okay, so we drew Chrome Mox, which means, so we have 3-4 mana available here, depending if Ragavan hits or not. So let's attack with Ragavan, see what we exile. And Ragavan just hits a land. Okay, so because that happened, let's get Fable the Mirror Breaker out. We'll generate another creature that also makes treasure tokens. And then mode 2 will be able to get rid of some of these useless cards in our hand, like probably the Chrome Mox or something. Let's see if our opponent has an answer to this very rapidly developing board. Okay, we get hit with a Hymnaturak and we lose the Chrome Mox and a Bone Crusher Giant. Oh no! Then our opponent evokes Fury. This is one reason why you like to dash Ragavan. It would have dodged this Fury removal. All right, we're down to no board and 2 lands in hand. How are we going to come back from this? Well, it's going to start with some card selection here from Fable the Mirror Breaker. And I think we're going to pitch both of these mountains. I do want to keep the Rishadan port because we can tap down our opponent's lands with that. We'll get the Smuggler's Copter down. I'm going to pay with the Ancient Tube here. That way we don't have to crack the treasure token. And we'll just get the Smuggler's Copter down, and then we'll just port our opponent here on their upkeep. And at least next turn, Fable will go to Chapter 3, and we will get Reflection of the Mirror Breaker here as a creature to crew the Smuggler's Copter. Our opponent plays a Mountain, so I wonder if they have more burn in hand. Okay, we draw our own Fury. We can play that, but there's no targets for it yet. So I want to hold it for right now. That may not be the right decision, as we could get a very nice 3/3 double striker on the battlefield, but you always want to try to get some additional value with Fury. So we'll attack and loot with Smuggler's Copter. And I think we want this Grim Lavamancer because we do have a decent amount of cards in the graveyard. So let's drop the Burst Lightning into the graveyard, and we'll play this Grim Lavamancer post main or post combat. And we'll port our opponent again on upkeep. And again, I want to hold on to this treasure token as it's our second red source for Fury. So we will just tap the Ancient Tube and take 2 to tap our opponent's red land. Okay, Mana Crypt comes down for our opponent, so they're not really short on mana anymore. And they play a Lily. All right, are they going to down tick or force us to discard? They want us to discard. Ooh, they also wanted to discard. They throw a Grizzlebrand into the graveyard. Wow. And they animate it. Okay, we have an uphill battle. No cards in hand. We're facing a Grizzlebrand and an active Lily. All right, they are going to draw 7 cards, and now they're down to 8. Can we get enough damage? We draw an Abbot of Carol Keep. All right, I'm looking through the deck here. Do we have any way to get rid of Grizzlebrand? I think if we draw a Dismember, we could Dismember Grizzlebrand and then activate Grim Lavamancer. So I'm going to play the Abbot here and hope to hit Dismember off its Enter the Battlefield ability. And just hopefully we can find an out to this Grizzlebrand. All right, we hit an Incinerate. All right, there's 2 lines here and we can do both of them. So we can activate Kiki again to get another look. We can copy the Abbot. We can get another look for another Dismember. And if we miss there, then we do have an additional line, barely I think, where maybe we can just win on our opponent's upkeep. All right, we hit a Mountain. That's actually really good. So we still have a mana floating. So there's no way for us to get rid of this Grizzlebrand right now, but we can incinerate our opponent's face, put them down to 5, and then if they lose their Mana Crypt trigger, they'll go to 2 and we can finish them off with a Grim Lavamancer activation, which would be insane considering we had no cards in hand at the start of this turn and our opponent had an active Lily and Grizzlebrand. So we'll activate Prowess twice, but we can attack, not with Grizzlebrand having lifelink. There's just no attacks we can do right now. All right, we've kind of done all we can do. We looked far outs against Grizzlebrand, and we found a line here where maybe we can sneak a win here against this Reanimator opponent. All right, here's the Mana Crypt flip. Yes, they lost the flip. Now we can activate Grim Lavamancer in their upkeep, and that'll do it. Oh man, I did not think we were going to be able to win this game. That was a steal and just the perfect lineup of cards and luck to make that happen. Whew. All right. There's really nothing for us to sideboard against the Reanimator opponent, so we will just run it back the starting 40. We're on the draw this time, and this hand is a keep. I wish we had like some acceleration here. If we had a Chrome Mox, that'd be pretty sweet, but we'll plan to lead out on the Grim Lavamancer. We draw a Tangle Wire, which could be useful. Our opponent fetches for their Savai Triumph end of our turn. They play their second land and cast their own Magda. Okay. We draw a third mountain, which is pretty good. Let's just get this Eidolon on the battlefield and see if we can accrue some damage here. And we'll pass back. Again, this is like a repeat. So Evoked Fury, showing you the power of that card. That's going to clear our board. And that's going to allow our opponent's Magda to get in and start generating some value. All right, 2 to the face and a treasure token. And then second main, him to Turak. We lose a mountain and our Tangle Wire. Okay, it could have been worse. We really need a land here. All right, Ancient Tomb is that land. We can play Lelia, and we can also keep a mana untapped to Lightning Bolt our opponent's Magda. Our opponent did not play a land their last turn, which is important to note. They are a little short on mana, which means we really want to take care of this Magda, and I think this Avalanche Riders may seal the deal next turn. Here's showing you the power of Ancient Tomb and some colorless ramp, even in mono red decks. Yeah, it's turn 4, and our opponent has 2 mana on the battlefield. Crypt Breaker and no third land drop. Yeah, this is pretty bad for them. We'll be able to cast our Avalanche Riders, we'll take out their Savai Trio, and we'll get in there with both of these attackers, which feels amazing. And maybe Lelia will just exile a land for us to play. She doesn't, it's the Smuggler's Copter, but okay. And our opponent takes 6, down to 10. Mana Crypt again from our opponent. That looks like a great target for Phyrexian Revoker, and they play their own Lelia. Pretty good card, but they're going to need something. Oh, okay, they hit a black mana source off the top, which is pretty decent. All right, I am not inclined to pay the echo cost on this Avalanche Riders, as I want to see what we draw, and I want to play this Phyrexian Revoker on the Mana Crypt. We draw a Fury, okay. So we may play Fury second main here. If we hit a land with Lelia, we can just hard cast Fury. We do. That means we'll be able to clear our opponent's board. Okay, they chump block anyways. We can at least deal with our opponent's Lelia. And it'll give us a pretty good attacker with double strike and Lelia there. Ooh, they entomb in response. And they get the daddy of reanimation targets, Archon of Cruelty. I honestly think Archon is sometimes a better reanimation target than Grizzlebrand, as it can really close out a game and remove troublesome creatures from your opponent's board. Our opponent does lose their Mana Crypt flip, which is important to note. And they play an Ophiomancer, pretty weak. I will attack into this, as they are forced to chump block with at least their Snake token, and probably both. Let's see what we exile here off Lelia. A land, fine. Their Mana Crypt is threatening to kill them again, which is why they're blocking with both creatures. They will kill our Lelia, but honestly, I'm okay with that. They're going to be pretty sad when we Revoker their Mana Crypt here in our second main phase. Here's young Peasy doing nothing on the board, kind of like normal. But here's Phyrexian Revoker doing some good work. Get out of here, Mana Crypt. Deal 3 to our opponent. Yeah, there's another 3. Mana Crypt is a liability against a deck like Mono Red. And that'll do it. Quick 2 games, good match win. Always play to your outs. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling with me here. And I'll see you next time.